see how it works. If the video looks different, we're recording it on a different thing. My old phone as opposed to my tablet because I had to loan it to the 8th grade We the People. So, we'll see how it goes. It's like a weird... Sorry, distracting myself. Hey, it's Friday, November 22nd. Regular kids, we're going to get into the Shadow Club and find out about shadows and clubs and poor choices and making fun of people and all those kind of fun things from there. The big thing for you guys is probably the part right there where it says your only homework for me right now is going to be making sure that you do that one thing. Work on your book report, which is due in 2.5 weeks, so, not taking forever and ever and ever. The tie game was food because, Thanksgiving next week, and apparently people eat on that day. It's like a thing people started doing. And then, you can find the ebook version of Shadow Club in case you forget the book somewhere. You can't use it in class, but you can use it at home on the off chance you fall behind. I'm hoping to have an audiobook on there soon. It's not there yet, but soon, in theory. And then we have highlightery things today. Highlightery things. What you're going to be doing to make homework easier on you, because the homework on the one coming up is going to be having you connect things in the book to people you know. So as we're reading, I'm going to have you highlight descriptions of characters that connect to a person that you know. If it says something like, this person is so annoying and no one likes them, and you can highlight and put like my younger brother. And so you'll be highlighting connections, and then if you make it easier on yourself, write off to the side who it is. If you don't, as long as you can remember, that's fine, but make sure you know who you're making the connections to. I've done the same thing, so I'll be telling you my connections to people. Some of them connect to myself and stuff like that, and so we'll try to help you out as we go through. Do you have to do it? No. It just makes your homework easier in the future. If, again, you're like, I hate future me, then that's fine. You're welcome to hate future you. All right, because soon time. You're going to turn until you get to the page that says Prologue. Elijah.
Question.
Yes, Elijah.
It says right here. With whom I've come full circle.
Is that in the little preview thing? I have no idea. It's talking about his wife. So he'd have to write a message to Mr. Schusterman himself. It is not part of the book. It is just part of his writing. Prologue. And this person will pop up in a moment, so let's back up. So you see
That's creepy. She looks like Wendy.
Okay. Prologue. I suppose you want to know all about us, don't you? All the nasty, horrible details about the vicious things we did. How we planned the accidents. How we plotted against everyone who got in our way. That's what you want to hear, isn't it? Ooh, quick time. You guys know what a prologue is?
Yeah, it's like the before.
Yeah. Pro just means before, and log, L-O-G-U-E, means to talk. So it means before the talking. So prologue just means the thing before the book. Well, it wasn't like that. Not to us anyway. Not at first. Things just got carried away, that's all. We were all good kids. I mean, really good kids. Not a single kid in the Shadow Club had ever done anything bad. And there wasn't a single delinquent in the bunch. Not at first. Again, you know what a delinquent is?
Yeah. Someone makes bad choices.
Yes, a person who gets arrested and makes bad choices. For most of you, you can probably go ahead and highlight that and then just write your name out to the side. That's fine.
I thought we had to do the highlight.
I still don't know how it all happened. We just lost control, you know? Too many bad feelings have a way of spinning together into one killer tornado. And none of us in the Shadow Club knew how to stop it. Or, for that matter, where it was going. Now, I haven't told anyone the whole story yet. I don't like to talk about it because it scares me. I get nightmares. And when I was little, I got nightmares about werewolves or dumb things like that. Now, I get nightmares about myself. And since it happened, I've been catching other kids looking at me funny. Like I'm a different person now. Like I'm that monster I dream about. But it's not true. And I don't know how to prove to them that I'm still me. I'm just a whole lot smarter now. That's all. Like I said, I haven't told anyone. But I can't keep it in anymore. If I do, I'll go crazy. So listen closely. I'll tell you all there is to know about the Shadow Club. But you have to promise you won't hate me when I'm done. Now, I'll begin long before any of the bad stuff happened. Before I spied on Tyson McGaw. Even before that first meeting. Way back when that tornado wasn't even a breeze. Just a bunch of thoughts kept secretly in the back of our minds. thoughts we were sure no one else could understand. It all started that day in the graveyard. First part I highlighted in mine was the top of page 4, where it says that now I get nightmares about myself. I highlighted that and put me, because I have a feeling that many kids have nightmares about me, on the fact that I probably also cause nightmares. So that was my connection. Hey, Jay.
Can we use smarter as smart?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm okay with that one. Back with short stories. Short Story Mountain was the first part of Short Story Mountain. Right. So we're going to get into exposition here. It's not horrible, but we have to explain characters. I'm not going to make you guys start reading until we get to the part after exposition. That's what comes after exposition.
Rising action.
So that's the part I get to let you guys start reading when we get to the rising action. So I'll help you guys get through boring beginning stuff because, I don't hate you. And there's no chapter numbers, there's just chapter titles. Like this one's chapter Stupid Talk. Again, you can highlight that and then just probably put your name next to it. It was the strangest place for anyone to have a wedding. And whoever came up with the idea of having weddings there must have had a very sick mind. This town has to be the only town in the history of the world that has weddings in a cemetery. Anyway, it was the first day of September, and we all stood there in the rose garden at the very edge of Shady Bluff Memorial Park, sipping punch from tiny cups and stuffing our faces with little cheese hors d'oeuvres. Waiting for the wedding to start. Cheryl's mom was getting married. Cheryl had been nervously chewing the lip of her cup until there was none of it left, and checking to see if her hair was still in place. She had good reason to be nervous, since it was her mother's wedding, and she was about to have a new father, but that wasn't the only reason she was nervous. I just know they're going to ask me to sing, Cheryl mumbled under her breath. Huh? Said Randall, her younger brother. Sing. They're going to ask me to sing. Oh, don't be dumb. People don't sing in cemeteries, which was a good point. No, I mean later, said Cheryl. At the house, during the party, they always ask me to sing. Randall rolled his eyeballs so far back you could almost hear them turning in his head. I highlighted that and then put my oldest daughter, because whenever she gets mad at me, she rolls her eyes. Like when? Cheryl thought for a moment, then a smirk spread over her face. Like at your birthday party? She said triumphantly. She looked at me, but I knew better than to stick my nose in this one. My nose has been whacked too many times for being where it never should have been in the first place. This was their argument. Yeah, well, guess what? Said Randall. I've got news for you. Nobody asked you. You just got up there and sang anyway, all on your lonesome. That's not true, said Cheryl. Somebody asked me. Who? I don't remember who. Doesn't matter. The point is that I was asked. And as I recall, everyone clapped. They clapped because I blew out the candles, said Randall. Well, okay, yeah, that too. But they liked the way I led Happy Birthday. I kept them all in tune. You were louder than everyone else, you mean, and you didn't have to stand on a chair. That was embarrassing. Again, I highlighted that and put my class, because you guys always have to stand on a chair whenever we give speeches. It'll be the same thing coming up again. It just makes you feel more embarrassed, makes me happier. Someone has to lead, demanded Cheryl. It's like the national anthem at a ball game. Someone has to lead it, or everyone sings at the wrong time, out of tune, and it sounds lousy. It was about this time that I forced my ears closed and tuned the two of them out. Now, it's true, Cheryl and Randall were my friends, but there's only so much stupid talk a human brain can listen to. And when Cheryl and Randall got started, they could stupid talk each other until their mouths wore out. I turned off my brain whenever my parents did it, and I turned off my brain whenever my friends did it. I highlighted turning off brain and put my students, because I figure most of the time when I'm an adult and I talk to you and I say, hey, read your book report book, you're like, oh, I've already tuned you out. And so I went ahead and highlighted you for that one. You're welcome. Thanks. I was closer friends with Cheryl than I was with Randall. In fact, you could say that Cheryl was my best friend. I mean, she'd been my best friend all of my life, or as far back as I could remember. Back to those days when it was all right for little boys to play with little girls because, I don't know, we didn't really know the difference. And through the time when everyone would make fun of us because boys were supposed to do boys things with boys and girls were supposed to do girls things with girls. Now, no one much bothered us because at 14, everyone has more sense. Besides, people envied us because everyone was so sure we were a lot more than we really were, if you know what I mean. Other kids always think that kind of thing if you're friends with a girl. Do you know what he means?
Mm-hmm.
So what is it everyone thinks?
Smoochy smooch.
There you go. They're BFGF, but really they're just, FF. Friends forever. That works for me. Anyway, neither Cheryl nor Randall knew when to shut up or when to give up, since they were always so convinced that they were right. They argued like lawyers, which is something they both got from their mother, who is a lawyer. This time, however, I knew for a fact that Randall was right. No one had asked Cheryl to sing at the party. The only person that was asked to sing was Cheryl's cousin Rebecca. And luckily, Cheryl was out back when it happened, or else she would have been in an evil mood for the rest of the day. Cheryl hated Rebecca about as much as I hated Austin Pace, but I'll leave that for later. Now, you just watch, said Cheryl. Mom will come over to me and ask me to sing when she and Paul have their first dance. I'll bet you. You're on, said Randall. I'd bet you money, but I wouldn't want to make you feel too bad. Fine. It's settled then, I said, just to shut them up. The winner gets no money, but will get to hang their victory over the other person's head for the rest of their life. All right? Fine. Fine, they both said. Good. Now, both of you, shut up. It looks like they're going to start. In a few minutes, Randall and Cheryl left to join the bridal party, which would come down the aisle along with the bride. My parents found me, and we went to sit in the rows of chairs by the little vine-covered gazebo in which the wedding would take place. The air was still warm that day, as if it had forgotten autumn was coming pretty soon. But the trees remembered. You could tell that they were just about ready to start turning colors. It was a nice day for a wedding. Cheryl came down the aisle with the rest of the bridesmaids. I knew she hated all that makeup and hairspray, but I have to admit, I'd never seen her look so beautiful. She was even more beautiful than her mother did in her wedding dress. Of course, I couldn't tell Cheryl that. She tended to punch people who told her she looked beautiful. I wrote down my wife because she's the same way. She gets all mad if you try to compliment her, so. Women. As the ceremony went on, I saw Cheryl's cousin Rebecca on the other side of the aisle. She sat there like a little princess, all 4 feet of her, pretending to be the cutest thing on earth, like she was taking Shirley Temple lessons or something. Even just sitting, you could sense that air about her, like she was the one in Cheryl's family that everyone adored, and she knew it. I could see why Cheryl resented her. Who wouldn't? All that pretend sweetness all rolled up into one tiny body. What made it even more irksome for Cheryl was that next week, Rebecca would make her grand entrance into our junior high and would, as always, set out to top anything Cheryl had ever done. Quick pause, because there's a play role coming up. If you're unfamiliar with who Shirley Temple is, it's the little girl that popped up a moment ago. She's from a long time ago, like the 1930s. She was like literally the first child actor that existed back then. She sang like little songs and dances and stuff like that. So, I'm going to show you a quick little clip of her from back in the day. I wish you. But thank you. There you go. It is a song you might be right familiar with. It's called Animal Crackers in My Soup. No. If not, prepare to enjoy yourself.
When I get hold of the big fat wolf, I push him on a little ground. And I bite him in a million bits, and I go pull him right down. When they're inside me where it's dark, I walk around like Noah's Ark. I stuff my tummy like a goop with animal crackers in my soup. Animal crackers in my soup do funny things to me.
So that's Shirley Temple. So her cousin Rebecca, who seems to think that she's adorable and everyone loves her, this is who they're comparing her to. Saying that this girl bounces around thinking she's all that and a bag of Shirley Temples. Like the Globies. Nice looking. Although not nearly as adorable. Alright, to continue on. In a few minutes, Randall and Cheryl left to join the bridal party, which would come down the aisle along with the bride. My parents found me, and we went to sit in the rows of chairs by the little vine-covered gazebo in which the wedding would take place. The air was still warm that day, as if it had forgotten. Oh, sorry, I did the wrong one. My fault. You guys didn't stop me. Jump down to the bottom. There we go. Well, the wedding went fine, and so did the first half of the party back in Cheryl's backyard. It was when the band started its second set that things started to change. It seemed that Cheryl was having such a great time dancing and jabbering at anyone who had an ear that she forgot all about her little bet with Randall back in the old graveyard rose garden. It could have gone forgotten, and no one, not even Randall, would have cared. But something happened. Cheryl and I were dancing quite a lot, since we both like to dance, and were tiring ourselves out, when the lead singer ended the song and began talking. "How we doing out there?" he asked the guests. A few people mumbled. "Good." "Great," said the lead singer. "Well, now we have a very special request. I understand there is a young lady here who is quite a singer." "I knew it," said Cheryl, and she cleared her throat half a dozen times. "And we have a very special request from the bride for her to come up here and give us a song," continued the singer. Cheryl cracked her knuckles, which made me wince, and then cleared her throat again. Randall, from across the yard, caught her gaze, amazed that his sister was actually going to win. "So maybe if we give her a great big hand," continued the singer, "she'll come on up and sing for us?" Cheryl bit her lip and leaned forward, sure that the eyes of the whole world were looking at her. The singer put on a big smile. "Let's hear it for Rebecca!" Cheryl took one step forward, and then it hit her. You could almost hear her jaw drop open. People began to applaud. Randall began to laugh. Then he turned to Cheryl, scratched his head, and gave her his best monkey impersonation. It's when you do the whole... Cheryl ignored him and turned to me. For a split second, she had that look in her eye that you only see in movies about people possessed by the devil. Again, highlighted that, and I put my name out to the side because I'm assuming that's how kids think about it. But the look faded. She sighed and said, "Well, that just figures, doesn't it? You should go up there and sing with her." "Nope," said Cheryl. "Gesundheit. I wasn't asked. And Gesundheit. Darned if I'm going to make a fool of myself like she's going to." Rebecca stepped onto the patio where the band was. She was all of 12, but looked more like she was 9, even younger with the cutesy dress she was wearing. Shirley Temple lessons. The band began to play the requested song, and Rebecca began to pretend she was a rock star. Personally, I thought that Cheryl sang a little bit better, but what do I know? Needless to say, Cheryl and I did not dance. We sat down at a table, and I could feel all the food and dancing already taking its toll on my stomach. Or maybe it was just the song. "You know, the second best never get any credit," said Cheryl. "Not even from their parents." "Oh, you're not second best," I offered. "I am. They're right. She does sing better than me." Cheryl played with a fork on somebody else's dessert plate that had been left there when somebody else had gotten up to dance. "But you know what really ticks me off?" said Cheryl. "Is that singing is the thing I do best. I mean, if there was anything else I could really do well, it wouldn't be so bad. But I can't. All I can really do is sing, you know?" She tapped the icing-covered fork a few times, and then a smile appeared on her face. "I wish we were back in the cemetery." "Why?" "Because if we were, sweet little Becky would never make it out of there alive." And then she laughed that sinister laugh reserved for mad scientists. "Oh, you wouldn't hurt her, and you know it." "Yeah, but I can have lots of fun pretending, can't I? She put down the fork and thought for a moment. Let's see. What could we do? We could wire her braces shut so she couldn't sing, only hum. Okay, pretty good, I said, smiling. How about hydrochloric acid in her punch? No, said Cheryl, getting excited. We'll get an enormous cork, cover it with super glue, drop it in the barrel on Halloween when it's her turn to bob for apples. Okay, wait. Okay. We scare her so much that she screams so loud she could never sing again. No mess, no evidence. What genius, Cheryl laughed. What genius. Okay, how about we send her in for a tonsillectomy, but we write on her chart to remove her vocal cords instead. Oh, you're sick, Cheryl. Look who's talking, Jared. We both laughed for a while, then looked over at little Miss Goldenthroat, holding the microphone like she was born with it in her hands, and we laughed some more. Don't you ever imagine doing nasty things to people that really tick you off like that? She asked. That was a question I didn't even have to think about. Like every day, I said. And I'll bet I know just who it is. She giggled. She knew who, all right. It didn't take much thinking to figure out. It was Austin Pace, my very good friend, Austin Pace, my buddy, my teammate, my pal. It's kind of a weird feeling to hate a friend. You don't know whether to go and have fun together or punch him out. Not that I would ever punch Austin out. It's just that sometimes you like to think about it, that's all. Kind of like throwing darts at someone's picture. Again, I highlighted that and I put you guys, because I'm assuming that's a thing you guys do every night with my picture. I've gotten used to it, I figured. The song ended and everyone applauded, and then the lead singer got on the microphone again and said, "Let's hear it for Rebecca!" The applause got louder. Cheryl grimaced. "Do you want to hear another one?" asked the lead singer. Cheryl looked at me with that "please God, no" expression on her face, but the applause got louder. Rebecca mumbled something to the band. They nodded and started up again. Another big dance number. Rebecca began to bounce around again and strut across the stage, all proud. Then Cheryl and I watched some old relative toss flowers at Rebecca from the floral centerpieces on the tables, and she put one behind her ear. "I think I'm going to be sick," said Cheryl, as we watched a scene that was beginning to resemble a freak show. Chapter, Austin Pace. But that's where we're going to start on Monday. Your homework with the book is not to read it. Because what is your homework for me?